evil.
Now, so now look at this. Just look at what he said about the Ethiopian. He said, "Can the Ethiopian change his skin?" The answer to that question is what? No. He can't change his skin because even from the time of his inception, when he was born, the people are still the same color today. Now, let's go to Amos the 9th chapter. You see how smart our God is? He didn't let nobody come in Ethiopia and take it over like he let somebody come in there in Egypt and take over. And now they call themselves Egyptians, which they are not Egyptians, they are Arabs. Let's go to Amos the 9th chapter. Look at what he said about the Israelites right here. Amos 9, and we're going to pick it up at verse 7. Amos 9 and 7. Amos 9 and 7. When you get it, go ahead and read it.
Are ye not as children of the Ethiopians unto me?
Now wait a minute. He said, are you not as the children of Ethiopians unto me? Who is he talking to?
The Israelites.
Go ahead, keep reading.
O children of Israel.
O children of Israel. He said, the Ethiopian, he can't change his skin, can he? The Israelite haven't changed his skin neither. He said, are you not as the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel? So what color then would the children of Israel be then?
Black.
Black. Melanated. But not African, though. Not African. Finish that.
Are ye not as children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel? Saith the Lord.
Go ahead.
Have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt? And the Philistines from Caphtor?
Go ahead.
And the Syrians from Ker?
Now we're dealing with black people right here. The Egyptians, the Philistines, the Ethiopians, the Israelites. Everybody is black right here we're looking at. Nothing derogatory or nothing like that. This ain't no black and white thing. This is just the way it is. Or just the way it was. And we're going to show you, though, in this series that we indeed are the descendants of the children of Israel. But now, let's go to Ezra the 2nd chapter. I want to show you something right here. Ezra the 2nd chapter. And we're going to pick it up at verse 2. Ezra, the 2nd chapter in verse 2. Ezra 2. And we're going to pick it up at, verse 1. Ezra 2 and 1. When you get it, go ahead and read it.
Now these are the children of the province that went up out of the captivity of those which had been carried away, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away unto Babylon, and came again unto Jerusalem and Judah, everyone unto his city.
Now you know these the one is returning to Jerusalem to rebuild Jerusalem, and which was Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. So now we're going to look at some of these people. Read that verse 2. Go ahead.
Which came was Zerubbabel, and Jeshua, and Nehemiah, and Sarai, and Rilah, Mordecai, Bilshan, Mispar, Bigvaiah, Rehum, Behana, the number of the men of the people of Israel.
Now these are Israelites right here that's coming up. Skip down, because we ain't going to read all of this. But skip down to verse 55, because I want to show you something. Verse 55.
The children of Solomon's servants, the children of Sotai, the children of Sophirath, the children of Peruda.
Now wait a minute. They said the children of Solomon's servants, the children of Sotai, the children of Sophirath, the children of Peruda. Skip down to verse 58. Go ahead.
All the Nethinim and the children of Solomon's servants were 392.
Go ahead.
And these were they which went up from Teleharsa, Shura, Adan, and Immer.
Go ahead. Keep reading.
But they could not show their fathers' houses and their seed, whether they were of Israel.
Oh, we got a problem here. Because remember now, all the children of Israel going up to rebuild Jerusalem, right? But these men right here could not show their fathers' records, whether they was of Israel or they all in the priest's office. Now wait a minute now. If the children of Israel, we're going to show you who these people are right here. But these people right here could not show their records, whether they were other children. Everybody else got records but these people, showing that they are the children of Israel. Go ahead and read some more.
The children of Deliah, the children of Tobiah, the children of Dakota, 652. And of the children of the priests.
And the children of the priests, go ahead.
The children of Habiah, the children of Cus, the children of Barzillai, which took a wife of the daughters of Barzillai.
Now wait a minute. So he said, and of the children of the priests, the children of Habiah, the children of Caz, the children of Barzillai, which took a wife of the daughters of Barzillai, the Gileadites. These Gileadites, these are Israelites. But you got some men that took these to wife. You understand? Took these Israelite women, this man's daughters, for wives. Go ahead and read. What did it say?
And was called after their name.
Now these men were called after the women's names. Because the woman's supposed to be called after the man's name, right? But these men married these Israelite women and were called after their name. Go ahead and read.
These sought their register among those that were reckoned by genealogy.
Stop right there. These sought their register among that were reckoned by what? Genealogy. So they looking for these people's records right here that married these Israelite women. Go ahead and read.
But they were not found.
But they were not found. Go ahead.
Therefore were they, as polluted, put from the priesthood.
Because it was a law. Look, if you can't show your records, then look, you're in the priesthood. You got to get out the priesthood, or you got to get out the priest's office. You had no business in there. Ding, 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 ding. What if Israel is black or white, right? These people right here. What were they doing? We're going to show you who these people are right here. What were they doing in the priest's office if Israel was white? What these people doing here? They would have known right off the bat. Because I'm going to show you who these people were. What verse you stop at?
63.
Read it.
And the Tashitha said unto them that they should not eat of the most holy thing till there stood up a priest with Urim and with Thummim.
Now, so they said, look, we're going to have to put these people from the priest's office till we got a priest to come in that got some understanding, some light and understanding about this. What are these people doing here and they don't have no register or no record of their genealogy? Let me show you who these people were. Let's go to 1 Kings. I'm going to show you, I'm making a point. 1 Kings, the 9th chapter. 1 Kings 9. Let me show you who these people were. 1 Kings 9, and we're going to pick it up at verse 20. 1 Kings 9 and 20. When you get it, go ahead and read it.
And all the people that were left of the Amorites, the Hittites.
Now wait a minute, who are these people? These right here, Canaanite people. We read that in Genesis 10th chapter, didn't we? He said, look, and all the people that were left of the Amorites, the Hittites,
Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, which were not of the children of Israel.
See, these were not of the children. These are Canaanites, aren't they? Go ahead and read.
Their children that were left after them in the land, whom the children of Israel also were not able utterly to destroy.
Stop right there. So the children of Israel were not able to utterly destroy these people. So now here come their children with the children of Israel. You got these Canaanites that dwelt with the children of Israel. Go ahead and read.
Upon those did Solomon levy a tribute of bond service until this day.
Oh, so remember we read about Solomon's servants? Well, here's his servants right here. They were Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, Jebusites, which are what? Canaanites, which are what? Black. And they all up in the priest's office. But then they couldn't find their records though. So now, if Israel was white and these people are black, then they would have known, they would have never gotten to the priest's office. But since everybody was black, and then these men married some Israelite daughters which were black, and then called their names after these daughters, which were daughters of Israel, then they went right on up into the priest's office. But when they got there, when they started getting ready to rebuild the temple, now we got to find every man's record. We got to find out about his genealogy. And these people were Solomon's servants, which were left from which he had servants, and these are the people that could not find their register. Anybody understand?
Amen.
So you got some African people that was in the priesthood with some Israelites, which were everybody black. And this is why they couldn't tell who was who, and they couldn't find these guys' records, because these were Canaanites. Everybody black. You see what I'm saying? If Israel had been black or would have been white, then they would have known right off the bat, hey man, what y'all doing here? They wouldn't have never made it to the priest's office and then eat the most holy thing too. Go ahead and read though. What verse you at?
Verse 22. But of the children of Israel did Solomon make no bondmen, but they were men of war, and his servants and his prince and his captains and rulers of his chariots and his horsemen.
So now who did he make the bond people? The Canaanites. Who did he make his captains and his princes and the chariot rulers and all this? Who did he make them? Those were Israelites. So these men that could not find their register were Canaanites. And that's why they had to put them out of the priest's office. And then you can't eat the most holy thing. You got to get out of this priest's office because you are a Canaanite. But everybody was black though. Melanated, if you will. Everybody was dark melanated. So now, let's go to Exodus, the 2nd chapter. Exodus 2. Exodus 2. Now, you know, I don't know how people don't read this. Like when Cecil B. DeMille's, when he made the 10 Commandments, how he missed this? We in Exodus 2 and 11. Exodus 2 and 11. Go ahead and read.
And it came to
He
pass.
had to be pretty crafty to make the 10 Commandments and miss this. He was pretty crafty, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody fell for a hook, line, and sinker. Because look at what he missed right here. Exodus 2 and 11. Go ahead and read it.
And it came to pass in those days, when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren and looked on their burdens, and he spied an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew, one of his brethren.
One of his brethren. Go ahead and read.
And he looked this way and that way. And when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand.
Now, so we read about that earlier, then over in Acts. Let's skip down to verse 15. Look at what happened. Go ahead.
Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses. But Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian, and he sat down by a well. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled the troughs to water their father's flock.
Go ahead.
And the shepherds came and drove them away.
Now the shepherds came and drove the Midianite women away. But here come Moses though. Go ahead and read.
But Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock.
Go ahead.
And when they came to Ruel, their father, he said, how is it that ye are come so soon today?
Now he asked him, say, how did y'all get back so soon? Because apparently it took a while for them to go and get the water and then water the flock. He like, but here come these other men that came and was messing with these women, these Midianite women, and Moses came and saved them. So their father like, well, how'd y'all get back so quick? Go ahead and read.
And they said, An Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherd.
Stop right there. Was that an Egyptian that delivered him? No, that wasn't no Egyptian. That was a Hebrew Israelite. But look, they called him an Egyptian. Why did they call him an Egyptian? Obviously, Moses was dressed like an Egyptian. He came out of Egypt, right? And he looked like an Egyptian, which was what? Black. That's so simple, ain't it? That's so obvious. They said an Egyptian delivered us. And Moses looked just like an Egyptian because he grew up in Pharaoh's house, didn't he? Finish that.
And also drew water enough for us and watered the flock.
Now you know the children, just like the Ethiopian can't change his color, the Israelite didn't change his color neither. Let's go down to the first century. Let's go down to the first century and show you somebody else that was mistaken for an Egyptian. Let's go to Acts, the 21st chapter. Acts 21. And let's show you somebody else who was mistaken for an Egyptian. Now this is the first century right here. Acts 21, the Arabs had not come along and conquered Egypt and took over Egypt yet. So the Egyptians that were there in the land were still black. Or a melanated people, if you will. We had Acts 21 and 37. Acts 21 and 37. Let's see who else was mistaken for an Egyptian. Now here Paul is, he is a Roman. He is an Israelite, but he is a citizen of Rome. So he wouldn't be dressed like no Egyptian, would he? Acts 21 and 37. Go ahead and read that.
And as Paul was to be led into the castle, he said unto the chief captain, May I speak unto thee? Who said, Canst thou speak Greek?
Now Paul must have asked him in Greek. Because if he had asked him in Hebrew, why would he be asking him, can you speak Greek? So Paul must have asked him in Greek. Can I speak unto you? Can you speak Hebrew? Can you speak Greek? Go ahead and read.
Art thou that Egyptian which before these
read
days,
that again.
Art not thou that Egyptian which before these days made us an uproar and led us out into the wilderness 4,000 men that were murdered. Murderers.
You see that? He said, Art not thou that Egyptian? You see what he called Paul? Now Paul was dressed like a Roman because that's what Paul was, a Roman citizen. And so he asked the guard, the Greek mate, look, can I speak to you? Man, can you speak Greek? Art not thou that Egyptian which before these days made us an uproar and led us out into the wilderness? 4,000 men that were murdered. Man, 4,000 men? He was busy, wasn't he? But he said, aren't you that Egyptian though? He called Paul an Egyptian. Why? Because Paul was black or a melanated person. And Paul was not an African or a Hamite. Neither was he an Egyptian. Just like Moses was a Hebrew Israelite, which was not an African, neither was he an Egyptian. Does everybody understand?
Amen.
Now, so he said, Art not thou the Egyptian was led out 4,000 men which were murderers? What Paul say? Verse 39.
But Paul said, I am a man which am a Jew of Tarsus.
He said, no, I'm a Jew. A man that is a Jew of Tarsus.
A city in Cilicia, a citizen of no mean city, and I beseech thee, suffer me to speak unto the people.
Now he must have really been speaking Greek because he's talking to this guy. He must have really known Greek, didn't he? Go ahead and read.
And when he had given him license, Paul stood on the stairs and beckoned with the hand unto the people.
Go ahead.
And when there was made a great silence, he spake unto them in the Hebrew tongue.
You see what tongue Paul was speaking to the people in the Hebrew tongue. But he was speaking to this soldier in Greek. Now, and he was mistaken for what? An Egyptian, which is black. And Paul didn't have on the Egyptian clothes. So now what's your excuse for that? What's your answer for that? You understand? Paul wasn't, he didn't have on no Egyptian clothes. And we all the way down in the 1st century. Let's go now. Let's go to Hebrews, the 7th chapter. Hebrews 7. See, we know what color the Israelites, and it's not no black and white thing. We just showing you the truth. Because the truth is not going to be hid. God's word is not going to be hid. And then you got some people say, well, you got this word in Greek and that word in this language. That look, God know how to put his word in any language he want to. And I don't need to go and read no Greek to understand it. I don't need to go and read no Hebrew to understand it. We're in Hebrews 7. I want to show you something else. Hebrews 7 and 14. Hebrews 7 and 14. Because I made a statement, like I said, on Facebook, that Jesus, or a black man rather, created this world. And I said that statement, and I stand by that statement too. And I'm going to show you why. Don't you know the one that created man, the Gentile, the Hamite, the Shemite, he was a black man? The one that created the sky, the stars, the moon, the sun, the earth that we walking on, the seas and the rivers, he was a black man? Let me show you. First, let's go to Hebrews, the 7th chapter. We're going to pick it up at verse 14. Hebrews 7 and 14. And that's not racist or none of that. It's the truth. Go ahead and read it. Verse 14. Go ahead.
For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah.
He sprang out of what?
Out of Judah.
Judah. Who is Judah? That is one of the 12 tribes of Israel. I keep trying to tell my Israelite brothers that think that they are Gentiles that Judah is, or the Jews came out of Judah. And Jesus came out of Judah, so Jesus was what? A Jew. For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah,
of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood.
But now, so Jesus came out of Judah, right? That's one of the 12 tribes of Israel. Let's go to Matthew, the 1st chapter. Matthew 1. Matthew 1, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Matthew 1 and 1. Let's just visit Jesus' lineage for a minute here. Matthew 1, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Matthew 1 and 1. When you get it, go ahead and read it.
The book of the generation of Jesus Christ, the son of David.
So now wait a minute. Jesus was a son of David,
the son of Abraham.
Go ahead.
Abraham begot Isaac, and Isaac begot Jacob, and Jacob begot Judas.
Stop right there. Who is Judas? That's Judah, which had the who? Jews. This is who the Jews come out of. Judah. And why don't you see any of the other brothers here? Is because we are dealing with Jesus' lineage right here. And Jesus came out of Judah. He was a Jew. Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac begot Jacob. And Jacob begot Judas and his brethren. Who is Judas' brethren? The other 11 tribes. That's his brethren. Now, skip to verse 6. Skip to verse 6. Go ahead.
And Jesse begot David the king.
Go ahead.
David the king begot Solomon of her that had been the wife of Urias.
Now, so I just want to show you Solomon, because I'm going to show you something in the Songs of Solomon. Because a lot of people like to say, well, this is Solomon talking. Well, Solomon was a son of David. And Jesus was a son of David too. So now, if he said, let's go to Songs of Solomon. I don't want to go too ahead of myself. Songs of Solomon. Songs of Solomon, the 1st chapter. Y'all know where I'm going already. It's just the audience that don't. Songs of Solomon, the 1st chapter. And we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Songs of Solomon 1 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
The Song of Songs, which is Solomon's. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for thy love is better than wine. Because of the Savior of thy good ointments, thy name is as ointment poured forth. Therefore, Do the virgins love thee? Draw me. We will run after thee. The king hath brought me into in his chambers. We will be glad and rejoice in thee. We will remember thy love more than wine. The upright love thee.
Go ahead.
I am black, but comely.
He said, I am black, but comely, meaning I'm handsome or beautiful. He said, I am black, but comely.
O ye daughters of Jerusalem.
O ye daughters of Jerusalem. Go ahead.
As the tents of Kedar.
And I believe we showed you not too long ago how dark the tents of Kedar are. I mean, they are dark, black. Go ahead and read. So he's telling you he's blue black, whoever this is. He said, look, I am black, O comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, and the curtains of Solomon. And we showed you not too long ago how dark the tents of Kedar are, how black they were. But we're going to stop right here, and we're going to come back to this. Let's go to Zechariah, the 12th chapter. Zechariah 12. We're going to come back to this Songs of Solomon in a little bit. And we're going to finish this out. But let's go to Zechariah, the 1st chapter. Zechariah 12. And we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Zechariah 12 and 1. When you get it, go ahead and read that first verse. We're just going to read one verse. Go ahead.
The burden of the word of the Lord for Israel, saith the Lord, which stretcheth forth the heavens, and layeth the foundation of the earth, and formeth the spirit of men within him.
Now, he said, the burden of the word of the Lord for Israel, saith the Lord, which stretcheth forth the heavens, and layeth the foundations of the earth, and formed the spirit of man within him. Who is this talking about right here? We're going to show you, because like I said earlier, I made that statement on Facebook that a black man created this world. And now we see the Lord right here, which created this world. He laid the foundation and everything. Let's go see who this is talking about. Let's go to Acts the 17th chapter. Acts 17. And we're going to pick it up at verse 24. Acts 17 and 24. 17 and 24. Everybody got it?
Amen.
Go ahead and read it.
God that made the world and all things therein.
Now look, he said, God that made the world and all things therein.
Seeing that he is Lord of heaven and earth. Dwelleth not in temples made with hands.
Go ahead.
Neither is worship with men's hands, as though he needed anything. Seeing that giveth to all life and breath and all things, and have made of one blood all nations of men, for to dwell on all the face of the earth, and have determined the times before appointed, and the bounds of their habitation.
Now this talking about God right here, ain't it? But look how he done this though. Let's look and see how he done this. Let's go to Ephesians, the 3rd chapter. Ephesians 3, and we're going to pick it up at verse 8. Ephesians 3 and 8. Did he himself do it? Or was there another that done it? Ephesians 3 and 8. Go ahead and read it.
Unto me, who am less than the less of all saints, is this grace given, that I should preach among the Gentiles the unsearchable riches of Christ, and to make all men see.
And to make all men see,
what is the fellowship of the mystery, which from the beginning of the world have been hid in God, who created all things by Jesus Christ.
By who?
Jesus Christ.
So who did the executing then? Who made this world then? Jesus did. Now what you gonna do with that? And if Jesus was a Jew, and we know that the Jews was black, the Israelites was black, and Judah came out of Israelite, then what color was Jesus then?
Black.
He was black. And the book said, now how you going to get around this? He said, and to make all men see what is the fellowship of the mystery which from the beginning of the world have been hid in God, who created all things by Jesus Christ. How you going to get around this? He created all things by Jesus Christ. Now, was he Jesus Christ then? How could he have been Jesus Christ then and Jesus got here around the first century? The man Jesus got here around the first century. He couldn't have created the world then, could he? So he had to be God in the Godhead to have created the world. So what was he at that time? Then he was Jehovah. Yes. Everybody understand?
Yes.
Let's go now. Let's go to Hebrews, the first chapter. Sound like somebody talking or something, so I guess I better hurry up. Hebrews, the first chapter. Hebrews 1, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Hebrews 1 and 1. Hebrews 1 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
God, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets.
Go ahead.
Having these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he hath appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the world.
By whom also he did what?
Made the world.
Made the world. So who made this world then? Jesus. And Jesus was what? A black man. But let's go a little bit. We're going to go a little bit further with this. Let's go to Genesis 1 and 1. Genesis 1 and 1. Genesis 1 and 1. We're just going to read one verse. Go ahead and read it.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
Which God, remember, that done this then? Jesus. He was the one who done this. But he wasn't Jesus then. He was Jehovah. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Now, we're going to deal back with this in a minute. Let's go back to Songs of Solomon and show you who this is talking about. That says, I am black, O comely. Look not upon me because I am black. We're going to Songs of Solomon, the first chapter, and we're going to pick it up at verse 5. So we're going to pick it up where we left off at. Songs of Solomon, first chapter, verse 5. Go ahead.
I am black, but comely, O the daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon.
Go ahead.
Look not upon me, because I am black. Because the sun hath looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me.
He said, my mother's children were angry with me. Go ahead.
They made me the keeper of the vineyard, but my own vineyard have I not kept.
Now this one, if you say that this is Solomon, right? Yeah. Then Solomon was black, wasn't he? Yes, and Solomon and Jesus came out of David, didn't they? Which came out of Judah, didn't they? Right. Which came out of Israel, right?
That's right.
So Jesus was a black man, but we're going to show you this ain't Solomon talking right here. Let's go to Luke the 19th chapter. Luke 9, he said, my mother, he said, I am black. Look not upon me because I am black, because the sun had looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyard, but my own vineyard have I not kept. Let's go to Luke the 19th chapter. Luke 19, and we're going to pick it up in verse 11. Luke 19 and 11. Go ahead and read it.
And as they heard these things, he added and spake a parable, because he was nigh to Jerusalem, and because they thought that the kingdom of God should immediately appear.
Go ahead.
He said, therefore, a certain nobleman went into a far country to receive for himself a kingdom and to return. And he called his 10 servants and delivered them 10 pounds and said unto them, occupy till I come.
Go ahead.
But his citizens hated him. And
he said, look here, he said, but his citizens hated him. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyard, but my own vineyard have I not kept. He said, but his citizens hated him,
and sent a message after him, saying,
Go ahead.
We will not have this man to reign over
We
us.
will not have this man to reign over us. Because that's what happened when Jesus came. The people was like, the Pharisees, Sadducees, and all the people was like, this guy ain't gonna reign. Are you the Christ? Tell us plainly. All type of questions they were asking him. Was he the Christ? But they hated him. They hated him. So now, let's go now. So, because he said, my mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyard, but my own vineyard have I not kept. Let's go to Matthew the 13th chapter. Matthew 13. Matthew 13, and we're going to pick it up at verse 53. Matthew 13 and 53. Look not upon me because I am black. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyard, but my own vineyard have I not kept. Matthew 13 and 53. Go ahead and read it.
And it came to pass that when Jesus had finished these parables, he departed thence. And when he was come into his own country.
Now stop right there. And now when he was come into his own country, go ahead.
He taught them in their synagogue insomuch that they were astonished.
Go ahead.
And said, whence hath this man this wisdom and these mighty works?
He's like, who this guy think he is? Well, how does he understand all this wisdom and these mighty works that he is doing? Look at what they said. Go ahead.
Is not this the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary?
He said, look, is not this the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary? We know him. We know his mom and his whole family. How is he so wise in doing all of these works? Go ahead.
And his brethren James and Joseph and Simeon.
You mean Jesus had brothers? Because you got a certain group of people out here at church teaching that Jesus was the only son. But look, he got some brothers right here. Is not this the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary and his brother and James and Joseph and Simon and Judas? He had some sisters too, verse 56. Go ahead.
And his sisters, are they not all with us?
Look, he said their sisters, so he had at least 2 sisters, didn't he? He said, are they not all with us? Go ahead and read.
Whence then hath this man all these things?
He said, well, how does this guy understand all these things then? But you understand, just because he came from the hood, don't mean he didn't know nothing. You understand? Because that's where you got to go to get the wisdom. You got to go to get to the hood to get the wisdom.
That's right.
But go ahead and read.
Verse 57. And they were offended in him. But Jesus said unto them, a prophet is not without honor, save in his own country.
He said, a prophet is not without honor, save in his own country. My mother, look, I am black, O comely. Look not upon me because I am black. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyard, but my own vineyard have I not kept. And Jesus said what? Read that verse 57 again.
And they were offended in him. But Jesus said unto them, a prophet is not without honor.
Go ahead.
Save in his own country and in his own house.
Go ahead.
And he did not many mighty works there because of their unbelief.
See, he couldn't even do no more works because of their unbelief. But the people were angry with him. His own people was angry with him. Just like we read over the Songs of Solomon. Let's go now. Let's go to Isaiah the 55th chapter. Let's see who the keeper of the vineyard is. Isaiah 5, and we're going to pick it up in verse 1. We got 3 more after this. We're getting done early, aren't we? Isaiah 5, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Isaiah 5 and 1. We got 3 more after this. Isaiah, but let's see who the keeper of the vineyard is. Isaiah 5 and 1. Go ahead and read.
Now will I sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved hath a vineyard in a very fruitful hill, and he fenced it, and gathered out the stones thereof, and planted it with the choicest vine, and built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein.
Go ahead.
And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem, and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, between me and my vineyard.
He said, and now, O inhabitants of what? Jerusalem, and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard. So this is the Lord of the vineyard. Let's find out who it is, though. Go ahead and read.
What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes.
Go ahead.
And now go to, I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away the hedge thereof, and it shall be eaten up, and break down the wall thereof, and it shall be trodden down.
Go ahead.
And I will lay it waste, it shall not be pruned, nor digged, but there shall come up briars and thorns.
Go ahead.
I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon.
Now here it comes, verse 7. What does that say?
For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts.
Stop right there. For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts. Who is the Lord of hosts?
Jesus.
That's Jesus, ain't it? He said, for the vineyard of the Lord of hosts, go ahead.
Is the house of Israel.
Is the house of Israel. So the vineyard is the house of Israel, and the Lord of hosts is who? Jesus. For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel.
And the men of Judah, his pleasant plant.
Go ahead.
And he looked for judgment, but behold oppression. For righteousness, but behold a crop.
Now, let's go to John the first chapter. John the first chapter. John 1, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. John 1 and 1. John 1 and 1. John 1 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was
Now
God.
look here. He said, in the beginning was the Word. Now everybody knows that the Word is Jesus, right? He said, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word, but the Word, he couldn't have been Jesus, the man, so who was he then? That was Jehovah. So in the beginning was the Word, in the beginning was Jehovah, and the Word was with God,
And the Word was God.
and this Word, which was Jehovah, was God. Go ahead and read.
The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made.
Now who is this that made all things right here?
Jesus.
Jesus. But he wasn't Jesus then, was he? He was Jehovah. He said all things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. So this word was a him. Now here goes the coup de grace. Skip down to verse 10. Go ahead and read that.
He was in the world.
Stop right there. We're not talking about the Father, are we? He said he was in the world,
And the world was made by him.
and the word was made, and the world was made by him. Who is this him?
Jesus.
Jesus. And Jesus was a man, wasn't he? And when he was from the tribe of Judah, and now he was an Israelite, and the Israelites are what color?
Black.
A black man created this world. I'll rest my case. He was in the world, and the world was made by him.
And the world was made by him, and the world knew him not.
Keep reading.
He came unto his own, and his own received him
My
not.
mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyard, but mine own vineyard have I not kept. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. But he said, I am black, didn't he? So who were we looking at in the Songs of Solomon right there, the 5th and the 6th verse, where he said, I am black. Look not upon me because I am black. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyard, but mine own vineyard have I not kept. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. He came unto his own received him not. A black man created this world. What you gonna do with that? You can give us a call at 847-636-4792. Give us a call. Skip to verse 14. Look at what else he done. Go ahead and read it.
And the word was made flesh and dwelt among us.
Is that the Father? That ain't the Father. That's not the Father. They said, and the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us. The Father ain't dwelt among us.
Jesus.
This is Jesus right here. But before he was Jesus, he was the Word, which was who? Jehovah. And the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us.
And we beheld his glory.
Stop right there. Now, have you beheld the glory of the Father? Anybody else beheld the glory of the Father? They ain't never beheld the glory of the Father, but they beheld the glory of Jesus. He gonna tell you. Go ahead.
The glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth.
The glory as of the only begotten of the. Who is the only begotten of the Father?
Jesus.
Come on. It's so simple. But my question is, what you gonna do with it? What you gonna do with it? We're dealing with black history today, and like I said, African people are not the only melanated people. And the black man created this world. Now, let's go to Matthew, the 2nd chapter, Matthew 2. And we're going to pick it up at verse 13. We got one more after this. Matthew 2, and we're going to pick it up at verse 13. Matthew 2 and 13. When you get it, go ahead and read it.
And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt.
Now, wait a minute. Now, this is Jesus. This is Joseph. The angel telling Joseph, take Jesus when he was a young child into Egypt. Why is he going into Egypt? If he was the skin, white skin like we see the Israelis today, why is he taking him into Egypt instead of not taking him into Rome or Greece? He taking him into Egypt. Say, take him into Egypt. Why? The Egyptians black, Jesus black, and if I want to hide Jesus, I got to put him on some black people, because he black.
That's right.
Because Herod was trying to kill him at this time. Read that verse 13 again. Somebody didn't hear it.
And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt.
Go ahead.
And be thou there until I bring thee word. For Herod will seek the young child to destroy him.
See, Herod's trying to destroy a young child. So, look, the angel told Joseph, take him into Egypt. Why didn't he take him into Rome or Greece? If he had took him into Rome or Greece, him being black, he would have stood out like a sore thumb. So now I got to hide you among some people that look like you. And we know the Egyptians was black, right? And Jesus was black. Go ahead and read.
When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt have I called my son.
What did he call him? Out of